Everyone, welcome to Broadband News. The state of Tennessee has released their new list of BEAD applicants based on the NTIA's benefit of the bargain round. And Telecompetitor has done a great comparison between these latest applicants and the original applicants. And I'm going to dive into that data. I'll be right back. Hey, thanks for joining. Rick Husey here with Broadband News. So I want to take a look at this data. First, I want to look at the Telecompetitor article because, again, they've done a great job of looking at the before and after on BEAD. And there's some interesting things in here, and it might make you think that, oh my gosh, satellite is going to be everywhere now. But when you look at the data, kind of dig into that, you'll see that satellite was already a big part of their plans in the first rounds that they did on the applications. So first, let's take a look at this article. So I see here, well, first off, just the headline, Starlink gets aggressive before and after BEAD applicants in Tennessee. So the before and after is not necessarily including Starlink, because one of the things that we'll see here is that Starlink didn't bid at all in the first round. So the satellite that Tennessee was using was, they put in there was Amazon Kuiper, but Starlink got very aggressive. They got very aggressive in this benefit of the bargain round, and Amazon got very aggressive as well. So most of the savings that we'll see that came out of this new round was really Amazon Kuiper significantly reducing the amount that they were requesting in areas. So we'll take a look at that here in a moment, but let's look through this article. So today, Tennessee became one of the first states to announce and publish the list of applicants for its broadband equity access and deployment, or the BEAD program, benefit of the bargain round. That's what Howard Lutnick was calling it. He told senators and congresspeople, I guess, that he wanted to make sure that the Americans got the benefit of the bargain with BEAD, and that's how that name came about. As such, Tennessee becomes one of the first states for which we can compare the initial round of BEAD applications before the new BEAD guidelines were issued by the NTIA on June 6th, with the application list for the benefit of the bargain round, which reflects the new guidelines. The differences are striking. The technology-neutral stance of the new guidelines is clearly encouraging providers that did not apply in the initial round to enter the fray. And that's true. You will see a lot of different or new, in addition to Starlink coming in, other fiber operators, a few fixed wireless here and there that are coming in. And part of that, I think, is because in Tennessee's initial round, and this was allowed under the first notice of funding opportunity, if somebody was going to bid, they had to bid the entire project area, whereas in the benefit of the bargain round, the rules and the updated guidelines from NTIA was they couldn't require that. So somebody could bid in just smaller areas of project area. So that would encourage other people to step in. The Tennessee Department of Economic Community Development released its list of initial round applications in April and released the benefit of the bargain list of applications today. They've got a side-by-side list right here. I'm going to go through this, but I've got my own take on that. I've added some data in there that we're going to take a look at. So, but you can download the original list right there. So again, side by side are the project areas, the applicants, and funds requested. And they summarize here the differences between the two. So total project areas, they had 178 BEAD project areas that received at least one application in either the initial round or the benefit of the bargain round. I'm just going to call that the BOB round. However, a representative from Tennessee told us that after the new location data was assessed, the state only had 173 remaining project areas, all 173 applications in the BOB round. All 173 applications, all 173 received applications. I'm sorry, they all received applications. I didn't actually see that. I thought I saw a few places where they did not have applications listed in the BOB round, so that could just be data that was missing from the spreadsheet I was looking at. Application number grows by 80%. Tennessee received 298 applications in its initial round and 541 in the BOB round. Starlink gets aggressive. In the initial round of funding, Starlink did not apply for funding. In the BOB round, they applied to serve 164 project areas with low Earth orbit satellite. Comcast, this is really interesting, Comcast switches proposed technologies. In the initial round of funding, Comcast applied for 27 project areas. In the BOB round, they applied to serve 39 areas. The key difference is that in the initial round, they proposed to serve these areas with fiber broadband, and now they're proposing to serve them with cable broadband at lower cost. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have to do cable. I think if they came back and said, you know what, in these areas we just want to do fiber to the home. There very well could be that, but they bid lower, and the technology they said was going to be HFC, hybrid fiber coax technology or cable modem technology. But I wouldn't be surprised if they come back and in a lot of these areas do fiber anyways. If they're new build outs, they might just do that rather than go ahead and try to do their DOCSIS plan. I mean, they do have very good DOCSIS technology, DOCSIS 4.0 that they're doing where they can do fast downloads and upload speeds, but nothing like fiber. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do actually deploy fiber in some of these areas. Amazon's Project Kuiper requests less money, a lot less money as we'll see. They applied to serve several project areas in the initial round. That's still true, but now the company is seeking far less funding for the same project areas. In one area, Benton 1, they had requested $115,162.50. In the initial round, now they're requesting $6,600 in the benefit of the bargain round. In almost every project area where Amazon applied, and that's a lot of them, by the way, in almost every project area where they applied, the amount requested went down dramatically. This may be related to the number of eligible locations. I think it's also related to the fact that they realized this was a new round. They realized they had done well in the first round, but with this new round, probably maybe thinking that Starlink was also going to enter the fray, that they maybe needed to adjust their bids way down. And one of the things that we'll see is they adjusted them way down. And in a lot of cases, I think most cases I looked at, Starlink was higher than them. So in most areas where Amazon was, Starlink bid, and they also are an applicant there. They were an approved applicant for that area. And Starlink was almost always higher, and in a few places quite a bit higher. Costs go down generally, and I'll show you the difference at the end here, how much they save. But across various providers, the overall trend from the initial round to the BOB round is a reduction in the amount requested. This is no doubt a response to the new BEAD guidelines, emphasis on reducing costs. Local providers changes vary. In some instances, the amount requested by local providers went up or down. The amounts requested by Ben Lomond Communications did both in different project areas or held steady, as is the case for Dixon Electric Department, whose initial round requests and benefit of the bargain round requests are identical. And I'd seen that as well, that some that had just done fiber just said, we're just going to bid the same thing, and they still were in there. Some areas will now not be covered. This is, I think, what I saw. 4 project areas received at least one application in the initial round, but received none in the BOB round. I thought I just read something different up there, and I did notice those. Some areas will now be covered. 3 project areas received at least one application in the BOB round, but received none in the initial round, and it mentions those, and we'll see those as I go through the spreadsheet. Some of the changes and the amounts requested may have to do with the number of locations in each project area. Some locations that were initially eligible are no longer eligible because of new planned build-outs and changes in BEAD rules involving unlicensed fixed wireless. I don't understand that because, as I've done in a video prior, according to the FCC broadband map, which is what determines who has broadband and what determines what is eligible for funding, every single location in the United States is not eligible for funding because Starlink is showing that they serve it at 220 by 35 or something like that, which is over the broadband requirement. So I don't know why having unlicensed fixed wireless would make a difference if Starlink doesn't make a difference, because every place in the country is covered. So I never understood that. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but that's the way I read that. Unfortunately, the Release Tennessee BEAD information does not include the number of locations in each project area. However, according to data on the Tennessee State website, nearly 7,000 locations are no longer eligible for BEAD funding, changing the number of total locations from around 51,000 to 44,000. I don't think I saw any completely unlicensed fixed wireless when I was looking at the list. I saw hybrid, and that was something that was allowed as an alternative technology under the original NOFO. If you had a hybrid of licensed and unlicensed, that was okay. But I didn't think I saw any completely unlicensed fixed wireless. But again, I think what they're saying is that if there's an unlicensed operator in an area, supposedly that would mean that they have broadband service, I guess. I don't know why. If they have satellite, it doesn't, but that's my case there. The changes from the initial round. Did I read this? Here we go. The Tennessee Department, I guess that's broadband office, whatever, official told telecompetitor that Tennessee was one of the states that initially required providers applying for BEAD funds to serve 100% of locations in a project area, as I mentioned. The new BEAD guidelines, however, keep states from issuing such requirements, so it's possible that some providers are applying for BEAD funds now that are that they are not required to serve all locations within a project area. I had mentioned that. The changes from the initial round of BEAD funding in Tennessee to the BOB round are eye-opening. The aggressiveness of Starlink and a general reduction in the grant amounts requested are trends that may play out across the country. And again, this is the list, and I'm going to go through this list here. I'm probably going to be looking off to my left to make sure I can read it. Sorry if it's so small, but again, one of the things you shall notice here as we go through this list, in the initial rounds, you see a lot of satellite. So what we have here on this spreadsheet, that's not really zero, that's the project area. There we go. I guess I typed something right there. So here's your project area, Anderson 1, Anderson 2, etc. That's your original applicant or applicants. That's the technology, that's the funds requested. And then you've got here, this is all the BOB round here, and you can see how many more applicants there were. And then you can see the amounts there. And what I did was I went ahead and totaled everything up. I looked at the original round, which you have right here. I looked at the BOB round, which is what you have right here in this particular area. For example, this number here would encompass these numbers right here, because each one of these is a project area. So this is this project area, this is the next project area, etc. And then the difference. So you can see here, as in the early going, things were more expensive. So we had originally Comcast coming in with 5.3 million, it looks like. And again, using fiber optic technology, they changed that right here. You see the HFC technology, cable modem. Their bid dropped. They also added, this area did not have satellite before. They also added SpaceX and Amazon. You can see their bids there. Bell South, or AT&T, I should say, Tennessee came in. Here's Kuiper again. I missed that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the next project area. So there we go. So satellite was added, and as well as AT&T. So you got 3 million here. You got 4.4 million there. So why it went up like that, I don't know. I don't know why that would be the case if they had covered all the locations in this project area before. I don't know why AT&T needed to come in and do fiber where they were. But anyway, in any event, that went up 3.1 million. Almost, 3.1 million. Most areas are not like that. A lot of them did go up, but most, you'll see the green here. What I did was, green is good, right? So even though there's a minus here, that's good, because that means it's less funding that the state's going to have to put in, and the federal taxpayers. I don't know if we'll ever get the money back, but that's less money that the state is going to have to put in there, and this is more money if it's that color. So here you see Anderson, again, that was more. So what do we have here? So Anderson originally, actually, this was one of the areas that had no bid originally, so that's why it's so much more. So nobody bid in the initial rounds, but Amazon, SpaceX, and Comcast came in these rounds, and that's what that amount was. That's why it's exactly that amount there. In this area, we originally had Amazon for $435,000. In addition, this BOB round, we had SpaceX come in. You can see Amazon, by the way, $435,000, and they reduced it down to $79,000. Then you had SpaceX come in at $138,000, again, quite a bit more. And then you had also AT&T and Comcast come in for several million right there total. So again, I don't know. I guess here, Amazon was going to be covering everything, the whole area, but by refiguring things out, I think the state of Tennessee was able to say in an area like this and say, you know what, we have money left over with all of the money we're saving on some of the satellite that we were, as you'll see, it's gone down quite a bit, Amazon. A lot of the money that they're saving, they were able to maybe do fiber in some of these areas where before maybe they were going to cover the whole area with Amazon, with their Kuiper. And Amazon, by the way, this is really interesting, and it's probably smart that they said Amazon and SpaceX, and they're splitting that up in pretty much every area, I think. And that's smart, because Amazon has maybe literally a handful of satellites up. They basically have got some test satellites up. I try to remember, maybe they got 20. Maybe they did their first launch, but they don't have anywhere near enough satellites to be able to do this service right now. So they're really going to have to get on the ball and start launching satellites so this service can be rolled out. So it's smart that the state said, you know what, we're going to split this between Amazon and Kuiper in a lot of areas. And that way, if Amazon doesn't come through, then they've got Starlink there as a backup. If Starlink falters for some reason and Amazon has already got their satellite, their constellation up and ready, then they'll be okay there. I think it's terrible that we've got so much satellite here. I would think Tennessee would have had enough money to be able to maximize fiber throughout this place, or more than they have, but we'll see that a lot of these areas already had satellite as we go through this list. What I put here in this area was I noted that this was an area that was satellite only. So when I marked it with this color, that means that satellite was added to a project area and it wasn't there before. Like here we had Comcast and that was all, and then we added some satellite. We also added AT&T. Here it was just satellite, it was just that, but we added some fiber. So I marked that as green, again, green being good. Here we had just one fiber operator at originally 3.2 million. They dropped down to about 3 million. We added satellite, and we also added AT&T and Zytel fiber optics, and that one went up again, 3.5 million. So I'm thinking that, again, with some of the money that they saved on these other areas that were satellite only, they were able to say, you know what, let's get some fiber operators here that have bid in some of these areas. Here we had another one, fiber. We added, I was just talking about that one. Here we have fiber again, and for some reason, Amazon was not here. So they weren't here in the original bid, and they did not bid on this area. Just only SpaceX did, but they did add SpaceX and a couple of others here. Again, AT&T and Zytel. That one went up 6 million because I think originally it was 3.7 million by United Telephone, dropped down to 3.4 million. We added this satellite here. We added AT&T. Yeah, there we have 4 million there, 1 million Zytel. So that went up 6 million. Here again, United Telephone, 3.3 million. They dropped that down to 2.84. We had Ben Lomond Communications come in, 1.37. We had SpaceX come in and Zytel, so that one also has increased. Now we've got a few that went down. So we had, this was really just Amazon. They added SpaceX on top of that. You can see the difference, 115,000 down to 6,600, and then SpaceX coming in at 27. So Amazon's got to be looking at this and going, man, we left money on the table. Then we had here, these are all three different project areas right here. So we had Kuiper only. Same thing here, Kuiper only. We had Comcast coming in. They dropped theirs a little bit, going from fiber to HFC, but again, they might decide to do fiber there anyway. We had Bell South, AT&T come in at 8 million. Wait a minute. Is that right? How is that so much? Maybe I have my numbers wrong. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. There's more project area here. That's another project area. This is another one. So we had Comcast, and we already had AT&T in here. AT&T looks like they didn't change their number at all. Again, Comcast dropped theirs, and then we had satellite added, and that was it. So that's why that one did not go up much. Okay, or went down actually. Here we had nothing. Okay, so these were two areas that had nothing again, so that's why these went up so much. So before, no bids, but after the new round, we had Amazon, we had SpaceX, we had AT&T. Got SpaceX listed a few times there, not sure why. Then we had Amazon on this one, AT&T and SpaceX. And again, I'm just taking basically the data that was in the telecompetitor comparison, which they did a lot of work on that. Volunteer Energy Cooperative, 4.8 million. That dropped down to 4.6, but we added, again, satellite here. I'm just going to scroll through some of these. We've seen some of these changes here. We added satellite in these areas and these areas. So these are areas that did not have satellite before, had some kind of wired technology. And in addition to that, they added satellite here. Now, does that mean, that may mean that maybe some of the more expensive areas that, let's say AT&T and Zentel is fixed wireless. Oh, here's a fixed wireless license unlicensed. So that could mean that some of these, actually they're not on there anymore. So Zentel, they were in the first round, they were not in the second round. So we have AT&T that's still here, and then we just added satellite. Same, here we had Volunteer Energy and Bell South, they remained, dropped a little bit there, and then we had satellite. So it could be that they took some of those areas that were fiber away from Bell South, AT&T, and Volunteer, and said, we're going to do satellite here to keep the pricing down. Because again, I would think that possibly, since these guys had to bid on the whole area, I would think both of these together should have been covering the whole project area. They probably had to bid the whole area in the initial round, and then maybe the state of Tennessee said, okay, AT&T, you can do this area. Volunteer Energy, you can do this area, and that covers our whole area. But maybe they took some of that away from them and said, we're going to do satellite in these areas that are really expensive. That may be what happened there. I don't know. Here we had Kuiper, and SpaceX was added to it. So everywhere you see, almost everywhere you see where you had Kuiper, they added SpaceX. So you see there were a lot of areas right here. You get Kuiper. Here's one with AT&T and Kuiper, but you had Kuiper, you had Kuiper, you had Kuiper, you had Kuiper. These are all areas that were satellite only that they just added SpaceX. That's all I did here. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to have to look at the whole list here. But you do see we have a lot of green showing up here where we're saving money here and there, anywhere from, 4 million right there to, 1,700, 300,000, 400,000. We scroll down. Here's some areas that had no satellite before. Again, we had Comcast and AT&T, and they added satellite here from both operators and Zytel. Same thing here. These all look very similar. Satellite and Zytel were added in all these areas. Here's, again, some areas that were just Kuiper, where they added SpaceX each time. Here we had Comcast and Kuiper, Bell South and Kuiper, Ben Lomond and Kuiper, and you can see SpaceX was added on all of those. So that's pretty much the theme. And you do see that all these areas we're saving a little bit of money as we're doing that. So I have to say that the benefit of the bargain round, I wasn't very happy about it because of their focus on saying, they wanted to make it the cheapest available, and we know the cheapest available is going to be satellite because the satellite's already up there. It's a sunk cost; they're already up there, as opposed to somebody that's going to have to build out a fiber network, right? So, but I have to say that they already had a lot of satellite in this case. A lot of states that probably are not in this position. And as they're going through this, they're improving some areas. Like right here again, this was satellite only, and SpaceX was added, plus they added AT&T and Comcast. Here they added Comcast. Here's an area where they had Dixon Electric, Comcast, and AT&T, and they added this fixed wireless, licensed and unlicensed. So again, hybrid, plus they added Zytel, plus they added SpaceX there. So, and here's another one that's interesting. I don't know why Kuiper's not added there. If that data is correct, I'm not sure why they were not there originally. Well, maybe they weren't originally because these were better. But why did they not come in here and bid on that? And the only thing I can think of there in those cases would be maybe they kind of feel like maybe that area, there's too many trees, and it would not be an area where somebody could have good access to the sky with a satellite dish. And maybe SpaceX thought differently. I don't know. Here we've got, let's see here again, SpaceX was added, so there was no satellite there. Here, this was fixed, again, hybrid wireless technology from IBT Group. Spectrum Southeast was still there. Their bid remained the same, 11,627. You can see that area did go up a little bit from 39 million to 40 million. Here everywhere we see Amazon Kuiper here, generally we had SpaceX added. Here we had nothing. We had just had wired internet, and they added unlicensed and licensed fixed wireless hybrid plus satellite. Here, same thing, added unlicensed or hybrid fixed wireless and satellite. This was an area that had four applicants in the first round. So we had Ben Lomond, United Telecom, Bell South, and IBT Group. Here's their numbers here. That was all in the first round, and this is, again, fixed wireless. And here we had nothing, so there was no bid. So this area is 24 million higher because there was no bid originally. So I'm assuming they're going to have to go back out and see who wants to bid on that. And again, why is Starlink and Amazon not in here? Is it possible that that's in a very wooded area that satellite's just not going to work? In which case, why did these guys not bid? Maybe they were like, you know what, this is just not worth it. I don't know. So I'm not sure why these did not move over to some extent. Maybe get cheaper because they were trying to be more competitive, and I'm not sure why satellite's not there. Here again, Kuiper. So I'll scroll down, see if there's anything different or new. So you can see what's going on here. As I do this, that means we've added satellite where we didn't have it before. I don't think there's anything really different here till I get a little further down the page. So here, same thing, a lot of satellite. Again, that's why I don't think this is going to be reflective of other states, unless other states already had a lot of satellite. I think Maine had a lot of satellite, if I remember. But like in my state, Georgia, I think they were trying to do fiber wherever they could. So I don't think our original bids had a lot of satellite, if any. I don't know for sure. I haven't seen it, but I'd be surprised if the state of Georgia, when they come out with their applicants, have added satellite in lots of places, unless they have to in order to make the numbers work. So again, that's what you're seeing here. Is all of this was pretty much satellite and maybe some wired here and there, but again, adding SpaceX in every place. Here's another one that what was the deal here? We had no bid. So originally it was Amazon. So again, why were they here in the first round and not in that round? And again, I'm getting this right from the telecompetitor spreadsheet. So maybe there was something in the data that they had. Maybe the data that they were looking at was not correct. So I don't know. But we can see that, again, that was originally 18,000, so not a big area, and then 0 right now. So let's see, what else do we have? This was, I'm not sure where these spaces are here. I don't think that many thing. Here again, we've got a couple of areas that originally was just Amazon bidding. And then in the new round, we had AT&T and Comcast come in on both of these project areas, plus SpaceX was added. And we can see, because of that, it actually went up. So we weren't just doing the satellite. We also see, though, that the satellite that originally was quoted was quite a bit less now. So again, we had 650 here, and we went down to 118. Here we had, this was Amazon, 1.24 million. And they dropped it to 205,000. So that's a lot of money to play with. So when you have that much money to play with, you can say, you know what? I think we can get some fiber in here because we're saving that much money on their original bid. And again, we've got AT&T and Comcast coming in there. And while it was a little bit more expensive, it sounds like it would be worth it. So that's a good benefit of the bargain round, is that we saved money in lots of places, and in some places where we were able to add fiber. See if anything else new here. So here we go. So we've got Amazon originally, and then Fayetteville Public Utilities. I was just highlighting here that, you had Amazon at 532,000, dropped down to 113. You had Fayetteville Public Utilities. I think that might be a customer of ours. They were at 968,000. They didn't change their bid at all. Then you had the same thing here. Kuiper went from 504 to 110, and FPU did not change their bid. Same thing here. FPU did not change their bid. And you added SpaceX in each case. So again, you can see here that SpaceX tends to be higher than Amazon when you see this. So you got, here you got, what's this? This is the project area here, right? Yeah, so you got Amazon at 110, and you got SpaceX at 201. Here you got Amazon in their new bid at 126 and SpaceX at 176. And again, FPU didn't change their bid at all. Here are a few areas where, again, you had satellite added where you didn't have that before. Originally just had AT&T and Spectrum Southeast, both of them fiber. Then same thing here. So here's another couple of areas here, or just one area. No, two areas, I'm sorry, where we've got SpaceX and Amazon did not come in. They were not in the original area. They didn't bid originally there, and they were not in the Bob round either. Here we've got a lot of the same stuff here. We've got no big changes. This is one, actually, this is a place where we had no bid right here. Originally we had no bid, and then Amazon and SpaceX both bid, but no wired folks, at least no wired applicants were approved by the state. Let's see, Amazon, it's all the same there. Here again, we added satellite in these areas where we originally had just Volunteer Energy and Spectrum. What do we have here? This was fixed wireless. The Zintel was originally in the bid originally an applicant, and they were not here. So we added SpaceX, had no satellite. Oh, I take that back. We did have, no, I'm sorry. This is only a 2-line project area. So we had AT&T and Zentel, and that was fixed wireless, and the fixed wireless went away, and they added SpaceX there. Anything else interesting? Here we had an area that was just Kuiper originally, and we added AT&T for fiber plus SpaceX. So again, we had a Kuiper original application of 1.45 million, dropped down to 270,000. Bell South came in at 4.3 million for fiber, and SpaceX for 411,000. So that area went up about 3.5 million. right there by adding that. But again, it's better for Tennessee. They have that funding to go ahead and do that. They get fiber to more people. Because what's going to happen here with all the satellite is 5 years down the road, maybe 10, people are going to, on satellite, are going to be like, you know what, this isn't fast enough because of who knows what, some new virtual reality, augmented reality, I don't know, self-driving cars in your driveway. I have no idea what could be making us need more bandwidth, but we just have to look back 10 years earlier to see where we were 10 years ago and what was acceptable and how that's not acceptable today. So that's the problem with this much satellite. But again, they had this much satellite before. They haven't really added that much. Down here we've got, let's see what this was. This was originally Kuiper. I'm not sure why. Oh, I think it was just, I was highlighting the change here, almost 25,000 down to 1,800. And then SpaceX, oh yeah. So Amazon went from 24,000, almost 25,000 to 1,800. And then SpaceX was added to this project area at 105,000. So again, Amazon must be going, what? Why? What? Yeah, but that's the danger when you're doing a bid is you want to be low enough to where you win it. You don't want to be so low that you're leaving $100,000 on the table. So yeah, that's tough. Here we had AT&T, 1.7 million, and Kuiper originally at 298,000. So AT&T didn't change their bid at all. And we see Kuiper went from almost 300,000 to 57,000 there. And you can see again, just kind of look at the, the trends. Most of it is saving money. You get these big hunks of money that, again, where they added fiber in areas maybe where it changed, but most of this is savings. And here's almost $5 million in savings in this area right here. So, again, benefit of the bargain round helped. And we'll see at the bottom here, the total. Let's see, what did I look at here? Did I look at some of these? I did, yeah, okay. So here again, adding SpaceX to some of these that, again, this is one where Amazon, Kuiper was not here, not there. They were not here. SpaceX their application was accepted. I don't know if Amazon had sent in their application and it wasn't accepted or they just didn't apply here, don't know. Again, and they added the licensed, unlicensed hybrid here, a fixed wireless. Here we added some wired connectivity. Originally it was just Amazon, and Comcast came in with HFC and Zytel. Again, that area went up almost 9 million because of that. Here it went up almost 3 million. We had originally Comcast at 8.9 million. We had IBT, the fixed wireless hybrid, at 2 million, and Comcast went up for some reason. And IBT went down. I'm not sure why that. I might not have my numbers added up correctly there. Not sure. So again, we added satellite in these areas as well. That's what it is maybe. So we added satellite. Did not have satellite before, so we added satellite in these areas. So I'm assuming these were areas again that originally were completely covered by Comcast and IBT, and then later, they added the satellite. Let's see if there's anything else of interest here. What did I highlight? Amazon Kuiper went from 196,000. Oh, I think I highlighted this because it didn't change at all. If I got that number right. Then here's an area that had no bids before. Oh, I'm sorry, in the new round, apparently no applicants that they selected. So this is one that went from 0 to, so it's, well, the only reason it's better is because we don't have applicants here, so they need to add somebody there, obviously, in some of these areas. So they're going to have to go back out in some of these areas and say, hey, who wants these areas? Send us your best bid. Here are some more where satellite was added where it was not before. So you don't see too much of that. Again, satellite, there was a lot of satellite on here. You see it everywhere, right? Satellite, satellite, satellite. There weren't that many areas, and you see some where fiber was added. There's not many of those at all, but there's really not that many of satellite being added. And then again, same things down here. This was all you see here: satellite, 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 satellite. All Amazon Kuiper, and not a lot of changes other than adding SpaceX and Amazon greatly reducing. And just pick one at random: 46,000 down to 1,200, greatly reducing the amount. Here's some more where satellite was added. And there you go. So if we look at the totals, So this was the original total, $704,316 and what is that? $704,316,251, right? And then here, the new total, $700,170,197. Sorry, there we go. So grand total savings of $3,764,804. And I don't want to say 3.7 million isn't a lot of money. It is. It's a lot of money. And it obviously there were some benefits here. There was a benefit of the bargain in that taxpayers or whatever, wherever this money goes, if they don't use it, I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if it gets clawed back. That would not surprise me if the Trump administration claws back whatever savings were found, or if they apply it some other way. But that's money that was saved. But again, the problem I have, and not so much with Tennessee, because Tennessee had already decided. I don't know why. I don't know if there's something with the geography or whatever. They had already decided we're going to do satellite in a lot of areas. But I would hate to see this kind of thing, this amount of satellite in other areas that were really trying to maximize fiber, where satellite was a last resort, because that's the way it should have been. I know Howard Lutnick was like, he was thinking we should be able to cover everybody with satellite and be done. It's a good technology. It's way cheaper. And he's right. It's a good technology and it's way cheaper, but it's not the best technology. It's not even close to the best technology. It's a great technology if you are in an area where you don't have good broadband service. So if you have DSL now, you have really slow cable modem service, I would think the cable operator would upgrade in that case, but in some cases they're really small. Maybe they don't have the funding to do that. So most cases, you're not going to want satellite. But when people have it, when they had bad internet, when they didn't really have broadband to speak of, and then they get satellite, they love it, right? But they're not going to love it. Like I say, in 5 or 10 years, they're not going to love it if everybody else has got fiber or some good, much faster connectivity, and they are on satellite and they are not able to do some of the new things that are going to be coming out. And I can guarantee you that they're coming out. Whatever that is, whatever it happens to be, it's going to be the case. So I was going to see if my chat was working today. It's not working there. So I don't think it's working on here either. Might be working on there. I don't know if that's actually the correct chat. Now that I think about the chat, I've been having a problem with that. But in any event, this is I think this data, like I say, is very instructive for what Tennessee is doing, not so much for the rest of the states. Hopefully not. We'll have to see what comes out with this. I think one thing we can tell from this is, and all of the applications, I think, I'm assuming that, all of the subgrantees would have had to already send their applications in to the states at this point, because there was a deadline for the NTIA to get the information back from the states so that they could look at the initial proposals from the states. Again, the modified initial proposals based on the new benefit of the bargain round, the new Notice of Funding Opportunity guidance that was issued back in June. And they had to get that in. And the NTIA has come out and said that they have approved all of those initial state proposals. So that means that all of these applicants have already sent everything. And so that means Amazon might be looking at this and going, oh my gosh, everywhere we've submitted, they may have reduced it quite a bit. SpaceX has probably come into a lot of these places and added their name if they did not bid already, in which case I think we might see something similar from the states where they maybe split that between the two, again, for a little bit of safety, having satellite from two different operators. And again, one that has hardly got any satellites up at this point. So we may see something like that. I'm kind of hoping that most of the states, if they had a lot of fiber already, that they're going to be making the case, or that they made the case in their initial proposal that they want to continue to have those fiber operators, that they looked at they let everybody bid. And, this money, the way this was originally laid out was that the states were supposed to make these decisions. And that's the smartest way to do it, because the states know the lay of the land. It's not a good idea when the federal government gets involved from way up high. We saw this with RDOF, when the federal government's involved and they're making the decisions as to who the subgrantees are going to be in each little area. That's not a good idea. That's why this was originally structured so that the states would make the decisions. There would be local decisions. The NTIA had some say on things, but there was a lot of leeway for the states. They were given a certain amount of money unless they were doing, they had certain things that they had to do, like the extremely high cost threshold thing that's no longer in there. But it was their decision. So I'm hoping that, again, that the states that had maximized fiber have been able to make a case and say, we opened it up to other people, and if they got, they had bids from Amazon and SpaceX and maybe some fixed wireless operators, they might say, we looked at that, but, we want to make sure that we are following not just the fact that, any of these technologies can qualify as reliable broadband, but we want to follow the second part of that says this broadband needs to be able to evolve over time. I believe the language is something like evolve over time to meet consumer and business demands or something like that. So in other words, satellite's not going to do that. And fixed wireless, unlicensed fixed wireless is probably not going to do that. But fiber is definitely going to do that. Fiber's already there. Fiber has evolved well past the demands of today. We don't need what fiber can do today. Fiber can do 25 gig today. It's available 25 gig in several places today. You can't afford it if you want it because they're not going to price it so low that you wouldn't take their gig package, right? So they can offer you a gig, they can offer you 2 gig. They're not going to price their 25 gigs so that you would take that before you take the others. There's no reason to do that. Nobody needs that. Most people are fine with a gig symmetrical, and really most people are fine with a gig down and 20, 30, 50, 100 up. Most people don't use a lot of upstream. So we are well beyond, with fiber, well beyond what consumers need today and probably what they will need 10 and 15, 20 years from now. At 25 gig, we're there today. 50 gig, 100 gig, that's coming. That's not coming with satellite, at least I don't think so, with satellite and with fixed wireless. So there you go. Hopefully this was helpful and interesting for you. If so, if you'd give me a like on the video, I would appreciate that. If you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified when I'm live, and then you'll get a notification. So I will be live sometime soon. Hope to see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.